is most of small-town America.
It's a place where people work and sleep. There's not much else to do. There's no real emotional connection.
At 40, Erin Napier has stunned fans with a revelation no one saw coming. A truth about her husband, Ben, that could change the way you see HGTV's golden couple forever. For years, they've built the picture of small-town love, family values, and dream homes in Laurel, Mississippi. But now, Erin is pulling back the curtain to share what really goes on when the cameras stop rolling. What she's finally admitting may shock even their most loyal supporters. Stay tuned, because what you're about to hear could redefine the story of Erin and Ben Napier in ways you never imagined. The power couple we thought we knew. From the very beginning, Erin and Ben Napier looked like the perfect match for a perfect story. Viewers first met them on the small screen through HGTV's hit show, Hometown. Set against the backdrop of Laurel, Mississippi, the couple quickly became the embodiment of charm, creativity, and old-fashioned American values. Erin, with her artistic eye for design, and Ben, with his towering frame and love for craftsmanship, seemed to offer more than home renovations. They offered hope, stability, and the comfort of seeing a marriage that looked both strong and effortless. But was everything truly as flawless as it appeared? Their rise to fame was nothing short of remarkable. How many small-town couples can say they went from running local businesses to becoming household names across the nation in only a few short years? What was it about Erin and Ben that drew millions of viewers to their screen every Sunday night? Was it just the transformations of outdated houses into dream homes? Or was it the glimpse into a love story that seemed untouched by the pressures of fame and fortune? The cameras captured every smile, every shared glance, and every witty exchange between Erin and Ben. Audiences saw a couple that laughed together, supported one another, and seemed to never falter. Yet any seasoned viewer of reality television knows there is always more than what meets the eye. Could it be that behind those charming renovations and tender family moments, there were unspoken truths waiting to be revealed? Fans loved watching Ben craft furniture pieces in his woodshop while Erin dreamed up designs that turned ordinary rooms into breathtaking spaces. Together, they painted Laurel in vibrant colors and invited America into their lives. But ask yourself this: when the production lights dimmed and the crew packed up for the day, what remained for Erin and Ben? Was their marriage truly untouched by stress, exhaustion, and the weight of living under constant public scrutiny? Or were their struggles hidden in the quiet corners of their home that no one outside their circle ever saw? Their story was sold to the world as a modern-day fairy tale. High school sweethearts turned television stars who managed to raise a family while transforming their town. Yet every fairy tale has shadows. Every couple faces challenges that never make it into the highlight reels. Could it be that Erin's revelation at 40 is the missing piece of the puzzle we never knew existed? What was really going on behind that picture-perfect smile and the glossy magazine covers? In this chapter, we revisit the beginnings, the carefully crafted image of a small-town couple who rose to fame not only on the strength of their talent, but also on the power of their love story. It is here where the foundation was laid for what the world believed to be an unshakable marriage. But as we will soon discover, even the strongest foundations can carry cracks that remain unseen until someone finally dares to tell the truth. Life behind Laurel's spotlight. Laurel, Mississippi was once a quiet town known mostly to its locals, but when Erin and Ben Napier stepped onto the television stage, everything changed. The streets, the old houses, the small businesses, all of it became part of a nationally broadcast story. To millions of viewers, it seemed like a dream. Who would not want to live in a place where history was restored, neighbors became family, and hope returned with every coat of paint Erin and Ben spread across forgotten walls? Yet beneath the charm of Laurel's rebirth, life for the Napiers was far more complicated. As their popularity grew, the expectations followed. The camera crews were there to capture the highlights, but what about the moments when exhaustion set in? What about the late nights spent planning designs, or the pressure Ben felt to meet impossible deadlines? Could anyone truly juggle television production schedules, local business responsibilities, parenthood, and personal health without something eventually giving way? These are the questions that viewers rarely ask because the screen offers only polished glimpses. But Erin and Ben lived the reality day after day. Consider the weight of becoming community leaders overnight. Every project was not just about renovating a house, but also about carrying the hopes of an entire town. How many couples can handle that kind of responsibility without feeling its strain? Would you be able to smile for the cameras while quietly worrying about your spouse's health or your children's well-being? Erin often carried those concerns silently, putting on her signature smile as if nothing was wrong. But was silence her only option, or was it the shield she needed to protect their image from public judgment? Even simple family moments came with complications. A trip to the park could be interrupted by fans eager for a photo. Grocery shopping could turn into a conversation about the next season of Hometown. For some, that might sound flattering, but for Erin and Ben, it meant their private life no longer truly belonged to them. Did they ever have a chance to breathe without the eyes of the world watching? Did they ever question if this was the price of success? Financial success and fame may look glamorous, yet they bring pressures that most people will never experience. Every design choice, every word spoken, even the way they disciplined their children could be scrutinized. Erin once hinted that the weight of public expectation often felt heavier than the work itself. How long can a couple carry that kind of burden before cracks begin to show? Behind Laurel's spotlight was a reality that only Erin and Ben knew. The show portrayed unity, joy, and ease. But beneath it lay schedules that drained their energy, commitments that tested their patience, and sacrifices that few could imagine. Erin's revelation at 40 forces us to ask the question: was the life they built in Laurel as peaceful and harmonious as it appeared? Or was it a carefully balanced act that could not last forever? The truth is only beginning to surface. Ben's hidden struggles. On screen, Ben Napier has always been the gentle giant of Laurel. With his broad shoulders, his easy laugh, and his talent for woodworking, he seemed to be a man without weakness. He was the dependable husband, the doting father, the craftsman who could turn a pile of old lumber into a masterpiece. But what happens when the person the world sees is not the same as the person who quietly fights battles in private? Could it be that the very strength everyone admired was also hiding the truth? Ben's health has long been a topic of quiet concern. His towering frame, once celebrated as part of his larger-than-life personality, also carried hidden risks. How many times did Erin worry when the cameras were off, wondering if his body could keep up with the relentless pace of filming and building? Did fans realize that behind every cheerful renovation, there were nights when exhaustion left him drained, physically and emotionally? And how often did he push through pain simply because America expected him to? There were other struggles too, struggles that had nothing to do with construction or design. The pressure of being a public figure weighed heavily on Ben. Imagine waking up each day knowing that millions of people were watching your every move. Would you be able to stay true to yourself? Or would you start to mold your personality into what the world wanted to see? Could Ben's constant smile have been a mask not only for the viewers, but sometimes even for his closest family? Every project on Hometown carried its own stress. Deadlines were tight. Homeowners carried high expectations, and the stakes were always rising. What would happen if a project failed? What would happen if the beloved image of Ben and Erin cracked under pressure? Could the show survive if the couple themselves began to falter? Fans never saw the anxiety that came with those questions, but Erin lived through it with him. Did she ever wonder how much longer Ben could keep giving at this pace without breaking? And then there was fatherhood. Raising children under the spotlight is no easy task. Ben longed to be the kind of father who was present at every moment. But how often did work steal him away from his family dinners and bedtime stories? Did he ever question whether the sacrifices he was making for the show were worth what he might be losing at home? These are the questions that haunt even the strongest of men, and Ben was no exception. The image of Ben Napier as the unshakable family man may have been true in part, but behind that image were struggles he rarely voiced. Erin saw them, carried them, and eventually decided to speak them out loud. What exactly did she reveal at 40? What was the shocking truth about the man America thought they knew so well? As the story unfolds, The answers will leave you questioning everything you believed about Laurel's favorite giant, Erin's silent burden. For years, Erin Napier has been celebrated as the creative force of hometown. Her delicate drawings, her vision for transforming forgotten houses, and her gentle storytelling voice made her a beloved figure on television. Yet what most viewers never realized is that while she was painting new life into old walls, she was also quietly carrying burdens that went far beyond design plans. What happens when the person who seems to hold everything together is secretly fighting to keep her own world from unraveling? Erin's life has never been without challenges. She has spoken publicly in fragments about her struggles with health, yet few truly grasp the weight of those struggles. How many times did she smile for the cameras while hiding physical pain? How often did she push through sleepless nights only to step in front of the crew the next morning as if nothing were wrong? Could it be that her silence was less about secrecy and more about survival? The public saw a woman of grace and composure, but those closest to her knew she was often battling quietly in the background. Beyond health, Erin bore the emotional burden of supporting Ben through his own struggles. Imagine the weight of being both wife and protector, of carrying her husband's fears while suppressing her own. Did she ever ask herself, "Who is carrying me?" Would the audience have loved their story as much if they saw the cracks behind the scenes? Or would judgment have replaced admiration? What happens when the role of encourager becomes a mask that hides exhaustion and loneliness? There was also the matter of expectation. Erin was not just a wife and mother, she was the face of a hit television show, the heart of community projects, and the creative mind fans turn to for inspiration. Can one person live up to that many roles without something breaking? Did Erin ever wonder if she had traded too much of her personal peace for public applause? How many times did she long to close the doors of her Laurel home and simply exist without the weight of the world on her shoulders? Motherhood added another layer to her silent burden. Raising daughters while cameras followed every corner of her life meant that privacy was nearly impossible. Did she question whether the sacrifices of fame were worth the cost to her family's quiet moments? Did she ever dream of walking away from it all, of choosing stillness over spotlight? What is the true cost of building a brand when the price is measured in unseen tears and unspoken prayers? Erin Napier's silent burden was not one of weakness but of strength. She carried it to protect her family, to preserve the image the world expected, and to keep moving forward when retreat seemed easier. Yet at 40, something shifted. No longer willing to hide in silence, Erin decided to reveal the truth about Ben, their life, and the reality of their journey. But what exactly pushed her to finally speak? Could it be that the very burdens she carried in secret became the fuel for her most shocking revelation? Yet the answer is only beginning to unfold. The turning point at 40. There is something about reaching the age of 40 that changes a person. It is a milestone that forces reflection, a moment when the past and the future collide. For Erin Napier, 40 was not simply another birthday. It was the moment when she could no longer remain silent about the truth she had carried for years. Why did this turning point matter so much? Why was this the exact season in her life when the walls of silence finally came crashing down? For years, Erin had been the keeper of appearances. She smiled for the cameras, laughed with Ben on set, and held the image of Laurel's fairy tale couple intact. Yet deep inside, she knew that appearances could not carry her forever. Could it be that 40 gave her the courage to stop pretending? Could it be that the years of pressure, health struggles, and emotional weight finally reached a breaking point that demanded honesty? What happens when the woman who has always kept quiet decides she will no longer be silent? Turning 40 also brought a sense of perspective. Erin had lived long enough to understand that life is fragile and time is fleeting. With 2 young daughters to raise and a marriage that had been tested in ways fans never saw, she began to ask herself hard questions. What kind of legacy was she leaving for her children? Was she teaching them that silence was strength, or was she showing them that speaking the truth, no matter how painful, was the real path to freedom? Could it be that motherhood was the spark that ignited her courage? Another factor was the relentless pace of fame. By 40, Erin and Ben had spent years living under the spotlight. The pressure of keeping up a flawless image had become unbearable. Did Erin ever lie awake at night asking herself how much longer they could keep up the charade? Did she fear that the truth, if hidden any longer, would eventually tear them apart more than it would if spoken aloud? Perhaps she realized that silence was no longer protecting them. It was slowly destroying them. There is also something spiritual about the number 40. In Scripture, 40 often represents testing, preparation, or transformation. Could Erin's journey mirror that same symbolism? Was her 40th year not just about age, but about a divine appointment, a moment set apart for truth to finally emerge? For years, she had been tested. Now perhaps she was being prepared to reveal what had long been concealed. So why now? Why at this exact moment did Erin choose to share what had been hidden? The answer lies in a mixture of courage, exhaustion, love, and a deep desire for authenticity. At 40, she decided she would no longer protect the world's image of her marriage. She would tell the truth about Ben and about the life they had built behind closed doors. But what exactly was that truth? And how would it change everything we thought we knew about Laurel's most beloved couple? The revelation was closer than anyone could imagine. What Erin finally revealed. The moment finally arrived. Erin Napier, after years of silence, decided it was time to open her heart and reveal the truth. Fans who had admired her for her creativity and her steady voice were not prepared for what she had to say. What could possibly be so shocking that it would change the way people viewed her husband, Ben Napier? Was it about their marriage, his health, or the unseen sacrifices that kept their family afloat? The revelation was not a simple confession. It was a glimpse into the unseen reality behind the smiling faces and perfectly crafted episodes. Erin admitted that Ben had been struggling in ways the public never knew. While fans saw him as the strong craftsman who could build anything with his hands, behind the scenes, his body was paying a heavy price. Long hours of physical labor, late nights balancing production schedules, and the stress of carrying a national television show were taking a toll on his health. How many times did he push himself past exhaustion just to make sure the show would go on? Did viewers ever stop to wonder if his cheerful presence was hiding a deeper pain? But Erin's revelation was not only about health. She spoke about the crushing pressure of living under constant public expectation. Ben, though loved by millions, often wrestled with anxiety about being the perfect husband, father, and television personality. Could anyone truly live up to that standard? What happens when the world demands perfection, but inside you feel anything but perfect? Erin revealed that there were nights when Ben questioned himself, nights when doubt and insecurity overshadowed the strong and confident man fans adored. The most shocking part was Erin's honesty about how these struggles had affected their marriage. Behind the romantic image, there were seasons of tension, times when silence filled the house, and moments when both of them wondered how much longer they could keep up the facade. Have you ever looked at a couple and thought they had it all together? Could it be that even the strongest love stories have chapters written in tears, frustration, and painful honesty? Erin's courage in admitting this truth shattered the illusion of perfection, but also made their story even more real. Why did she choose to share this now? Perhaps because hiding it any longer would have been dishonest not only to their fans but to themselves. Erin realized that by speaking out, she was giving voice to the countless couples who struggle silently behind smiling photographs. Could it be that her revelation was less about exposing Ben and more about setting them both free from the weight of secrecy? What Erin finally revealed was simple yet profound. Ben Napier, the man admired by millions, was human. He was strong but not invincible, joyful yet at times burdened, loving yet sometimes overwhelmed. And in confessing this, Erin reminded the world that even the most admired marriages are not perfect stories. But the question remains, how would Ben respond to his wife's revelation? And how would their family and fans take this newfound truth? The answers would unfold in the days to come. The family's reaction. When Erin Napier finally spoke her truth, the first shockwaves did not come from the public. They came from inside her own home. For years she had carried the burden silently, guarding her husband and protecting their image. But once the words were spoken aloud, there was no going back. How would Ben respond to hearing his struggles laid bare for the world to see? Would he feel betrayed, or would he feel relieved that the mask of perfection had finally been lifted? Ben's reaction, according to Erin, was layered with emotion. At first, there was silence. Imagine hearing your wife, the partner who has walked beside you for nearly 2 decades, tell the world about the battles you fought behind closed doors. Would you feel exposed? Would you wonder if the world would still see you as strong as they once did? Yet as the reality sank in, Ben's heart softened. He knew that Erin's confession was not meant to wound him, but to free both of them. Could it be that sometimes love means telling the hardest truths? Their children, though young, were not blind to the change in atmosphere. Even little ones can sense when something important has shifted. Erin and Ben faced the question every parent dreads: how much should we share? How do you explain to children that their parents, the very people they look to for stability, are not perfect superheroes but human beings with weaknesses and fears? Would the children one day thank Erin for her honesty, or would they question why the family's private life had to be shared so openly? The extended family also had their own responses. Parents, siblings, and close relatives who had witnessed the highs and lows of Erin and Ben's journey reacted with a mix of concern and admiration. Some wondered if Erin had revealed too much. Why open the door to public scrutiny when the family could have kept their struggles private? Others praised her bravery, believing that honesty would not only heal her marriage, but also inspire others who faced similar battles. Which side was right? Was Erin reckless? Or was she prophetic in choosing truth over silence? Even the crew of Hometown, who had become almost like family over the years, were shaken by the revelation. Many of them had seen glimpses of stress behind the cameras, but never imagined the depth of the struggles Erin described. Did they feel guilty for not noticing sooner? Did they realize that their beloved stars were not immune to the same exhaustion and tension they all faced day to day? Or did the revelation deepen their respect for Erin and Ben, proving that authenticity matters more than keeping up appearances? And then there was Ben himself. After the initial shock, he began to see Erin's revelation in a new light. Could it be that she had given him a gift rather than a wound? By admitting the truth, Erin had taken away the pressure of perfection. No longer did Ben have to carry the impossible weight of being America's flawless husband and father. He could now be real, vulnerable, and human. Would the fans accept this new version of him, or would they cling to the myth of the unshakable giant? Inside their Laurel home, conversations stretched late into the night. Tears were shed, questions were asked, and forgiveness was exchanged. Erin reassured Ben that her confession was not about weakness, but about love. She wanted their children to grow up knowing that marriage is not about pretending everything is perfect, but about walking through imperfections together. Could this revelation, rather than breaking them, actually strengthen their bond? Would the truth they once feared become the very thing that saved them? The family's reaction to Erin's confession was not simple or neat. It was messy, emotional, and deeply human. But within that storm of feelings lay a new foundation, a foundation built not on image but on truth. As the dust settled, one question lingered. If those closest to Erin and Ben could accept the shocking truth, how would the world beyond Laurel react when they heard it for the first time? The answer would unfold in the next wave of the story. Fans and public response. The revelation finally reached the public. It spread like wildfire. Social media lit up with reactions, and news outlets quickly picked up the story. Fans who had long admired Erin and Ben as the epitome of small-town love suddenly found themselves questioning everything they thought they knew. Was this the end of the perfect couple image they had cherished for so long? Or could honesty actually make them more relatable than ever before? Some fans immediately rallied to Erin's side. They praised her bravery, applauding her for speaking out about the hidden struggles that so many families face. How many people watching from their living rooms had also carried silent battles in their marriages? Did Erin's words give them permission to breathe, to admit that their own lives were not picture perfect? Could it be that her confession created a bridge between television fantasy and real human experience? But not everyone responded with compassion. There were voices that questioned her decision to go public. Why reveal such intimate truths to the world? Was she risking Ben's reputation for the sake of honesty? Some critics argued that certain struggles should remain private, shielded from cameras and gossip. Was Erin right to break the silence, or should she have continued protecting the image that made them beloved in the first place? The wider HGTV community also weighed in. Fellow television personalities offered mixed reactions. Some admired the Napiers for their transparency, suggesting that their honesty set a new standard for reality television. Others worried it might tarnish the brand that HGTV had so carefully built around wholesome, feel-good storytelling. Could the network's golden couple survive the storm, or would the revelation cast a shadow over everything they had built? Among the fans themselves, the debate raged. For every comment that read, "This makes me love them even more," there was another that asked, "Why did they have to ruin the magic?" What does it say about us as viewers that we crave perfection from our public figures, yet are quick to criticize them when they admit their flaws? Are we more comfortable with a beautiful illusion than with the messy truth? In the midst of it all, Erin and Ben remained quiet. They let the storm play out, watching as strangers across the world dissected their lives. Did they wonder if their silence would be mistaken for guilt? Did they hope the noise would eventually settle into understanding? Or did they know that their honesty, though painful in the short term, would pay off in the long run? The public response to Erin's confession was both fierce and revealing. It showed just how deeply people had invested in the Napier story, not just as entertainers, but as symbols of something greater. Yet the real question remained. After the storm of opinions passed, what would be left standing would their fans turn away, longing for the perfect couple they once believed in, or would they embrace the truth and love Erin and Ben all the more for their humanity? The world was watching, and the answer would shape the next chapter of their legacy. Stronger together. In the wake of Erin Napier's revelation, many wondered whether this was the beginning of the end for one of television's most beloved couples. Could Erin and Ben survive the weight of public scrutiny? Would their marriage crumble under the pressure of the truth being exposed? Or could it be that honesty, rather than breaking them apart, would bring them closer than ever before? What unfolded in the weeks that followed surprised nearly everyone. Instead of pulling away from each other, Erin and Ben leaned in. They chose unity over division, grace over bitterness, and truth over silence. Was this not the very essence of marriage, walking together, not only in joy but also in pain, not only in triumphs but also in struggles? Their decision to stand side by side revealed a depth of love that went far beyond what television cameras had ever captured. Behind closed doors, there were countless conversations, some filled with tears, others with laughter, and many with long pauses of understanding. Did Ben feel exposed at first? Of course. But as he processed Erin's words, he began to see them as an act of love rather than betrayal. Erin had not revealed the truth to shame him, but to set them both free from the impossible burden of perfection. Was it possible that her boldness actually lifted a weight he had carried for years? Could it be that her honesty was the key to his healing? As for their children, Erin and Ben decided to turn this season into a lesson. They wanted their daughters to grow up knowing that strength is not about hiding weakness, but about confronting it with courage. Would their little girls remember this moment as the time when their parents showed them that real love does not demand perfection? Real love forgives, rebuilds, and presses on. The fans, too, began to shift. While the initial storm brought criticism and doubt, over time more and more people began to appreciate Napier's transparency. Was this not what the world truly needed? To see that even the couples who seem to have it all together also walk through valleys of difficulty. The revelation that once seemed so risky became the very thing that deepened their bond with their audience. The network also stood firmly behind them, recognizing that authenticity resonates far more than polished illusions. Erin and Ben's story became less about flawless television moments and more about genuine resilience. Could it be that their greatest contribution was not the houses they restored in Laurel, but the hope they restored in marriages and families across the nation? In the end, Erin and Ben Napier emerged not as the perfect couple, but as the real couple. They were stronger not because they never stumbled, but because they stumbled and still chose to rise together. And so the question remains for every viewer. When the pressures of life expose cracks in your story, will you choose silence and image, or will you choose honesty and love? The Napiers made their choice, and in doing so, they redefined what it truly means to be stronger together. The story of Erin and Ben Napier is no longer just about beautiful homes and small-town charm. It is about truth, vulnerability, and the strength that comes when love is tested. Erin's revelation at 40 stripped away the illusion of perfection and revealed a marriage built on honesty, grace, and resilience. The world may have been shocked, but what emerged was a couple stronger than ever, united in their decision to live authentically. And so we leave with one final question. Do you love the perfect story, or do you love the real one? Please share your thoughts in the comments. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more stories like this.